You wake up to the familiar buzz of your phone, expecting another weather notification or maybe a text from your group chat spiraling about brunch plans. But instead, it's something different. Something that feels heavier. A quake swarm alert from San Ramon. A surge of micro-earthquakes. Suddenly, the air feels tighter. You glance out the window, same skyline, same fog, but the ground beneath. It's not so steady anymore. Because this isn't just another day in the bay. The faults are talking again. And this time,
if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Your feedback helps shape what we cover next, and you being here keeps the conversation going. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.
So let's break it down, because this isn't your average seismic flicker. We're talking about a massive cluster of tremors, almost 90 just over the past 2 weeks. And that's not random. They're stacking up along the Calaveras fault like dominoes with shaky hands, primed to fall. Some hit 3.8 magnitude, which, while not Armageddon level, is strong enough to rattle dishes, nerves, and the confidence of people who thought this was just a weirdo for a big one eventually kind of problem. It's not just Calaveras, either. The San Andreas is part of this conversation. So is Hayward. Oh, and Franklin Fault decided to RSVP as well. If you're keeping score at home, that's basically a who's who of California's most iconic seismic troublemakers. Like if the Avengers formed, but all of them were unstable and trying to tear the state in half. The scary part, they're communicating. Yeah, you heard that right. These faults don't just exist in isolation. They're connected like stress-fueled group chats beneath the Earth's crust, passing tension from one to another. It's called stress transfer, and when one fault shifts, it doesn't just let off steam, it can push neighboring faults closer to their breaking point. Remember the 2014 Napa quake? Moderate-sized, hit at dawn. Caught everyone off guard, and it wasn't just the wine bottles that suffered. That quake didn't end with its own shaking. It spread tension outward, like a dropped stone in a pool. The ripples are still being felt, literally in the form of aftershocks and microquakes years later. And now, that same stress seems to be echoing through the bay's fault lines again. Only this time, the pattern isn't fading. It's escalating. Scientists are cautious, of course. They're not saying the big one is coming tomorrow. But their models, they're showing some deeply unsettling possibilities. Advanced simulations have detected energy building in a way that hints at potential multi-fault ruptures, events where not just one fault goes off, but several, in a chain reaction. Let that sit for a second, because that's the difference between a moderate earthquake and a region-wide catastrophe. A cascading rupture doesn't just rattle a city, it shreds it. And in the worst-case scenario, you get a super shear quake. Yeah, that's real. A super shear rupture is like the fast and furious version of an earthquake. It happens when the rupture tears through the fault faster than the seismic waves it produces. Think of it like a jet breaking the sound barrier but underground, and instead of a sonic boom, it's violent shaking that outpaces what our infrastructure is even designed to handle. Buildings that were up to code, suddenly obsolete. Bridges engineered for strong quakes, shaken like soda cans. Emergency systems and protocols, built for yesterday's science. The most unnerving part, we've known about this potential for years, but we haven't really prepared for it. Not fully. Because retrofitting infrastructure for a super shear event is astronomically expensive. And when the risk is only 5% at any given moment, that cost is easy to push off, until it's not. So where does that leave us? Right now, we're in the uneasy space between statistical comfort and geological reality. The experts are saying that yes, the chance of this swarm turning into a full-blown disaster is low, less than 5%. But they're also saying that the signals are loud, the faults are active, the stress is real, and the longer the tension builds without release, the more dramatic the snapback could be. Because earthquakes are like credit card debt, you can ignore it for a while, but eventually the interest catches up. What makes this moment different isn't just the science, it's the vibe. Normally, swarms pop up and fade out. This one's sticking. It's persistent. It's bold. And it's popping off in locations that have been quiet for too long. It's like nature tapping its foot, waiting. And let's not forget, we've seen what this looks like before. The 1906 earthquake devastated San Francisco. Firestorms, collapsed buildings, chaos. It was one of the deadliest natural disasters in US history. And you know what preceded it? A pattern eerily similar to what we're seeing now. Back then, scientists didn't have GPS sensors or dense seismic arrays. Now, we can literally watch the ground shift in millimeters. And it is shifting. The Earth is flexing and cracking in places that should be stable. So why does that matter for you?
If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Your feedback helps shape what we cover next, and you being here keeps the conversation going. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.
The infrastructure. It's not fully ready. And here's the kicker. It's not just about skyscrapers in downtown SF. It's about water lines, power grids, hospitals, transit systems, tech campuses, apartment complexes built before modern codes. It's about the lifelines we take for granted. If a cascading rupture event hits, nothing is isolated. And that's the part that sends chills through city planners and geologists alike. Because they know that this region is overdue. They know the faults are loaded. And they know that once the rupture begins, it's all downhill from there. But hey, maybe it'll fizzle out. Maybe the swarm will die down like so many before it. That's the comforting bet. But science is about probabilities, not promises. So here's the uncomfortable truth. We're not in a moment of certainty, we're in a moment of potential. This could be just another tense chapter in California's seismic history. Or it could be the prologue to something far more explosive. And if it's the latter, there won't be a neat, cinematic countdown. No Liam Neeson saving the day. Just chaos, caught live on TikTok and live streamed from Ring cameras as the ground reminds us who's really in charge. So, what do you do with that kind of uncertainty? You prepare? Not in a doomsday prepper, bunker digging way, but in a smart, present, aware kind of way. Know your evacuation routes. Stock water. Strap your furniture. Run those emergency drills like you mean it. Because while the quake probability might be low today, the consequences are high every day. We live on top of a ticking mechanism that's as old as the Earth itself. And when it ticks, it's not subtle. So if the Earth is sending a group text full of tremors, microquakes, and stress signals, maybe it's time we stop putting it on mute. The Bay Area has always balanced beauty with danger. Rolling hills, sweeping views, million-dollar bungalows clinging to cliffs. But underneath all of that, the ground is whispering secrets and the volume's getting louder. So stay alert, stay ready, and maybe just maybe start keeping your shoes by the bed. Because in the Bay Area, it's not a matter of if, it's only a matter of when. Oh, and while you're here, drop a comment below if you've ever felt one of these tremors, or if your city's taking this seriously. And subscribe for more stories that shake things up, because this channel doesn't sleep through the seismic drama. Until next time, keep one eye on the Richter scale. And we're not done yet, because what's unfolding beneath San Francisco isn't just science. It's storytelling. It's suspense. It's Mother Nature's version of a psychological thriller. And all of us, we're extras in the background hoping the set doesn't collapse mid-scene. So let's talk about the psychology of it all. Because if you live in California, or honestly, if you've even visited for more than a weekend, you've probably heard some version of this sentence. Oh yeah, we're overdue for the big one, said casually. Maybe with a shrug. Like it's a punchline at this point. Part of the state's personality. We have in and out, we have tech brothers, and we have impending geological doom. Cute, right? But here's the twist. The thing we're overdue for. It doesn't care about our jokes. It doesn't read the memes. It doesn't care that we're manifesting stability, or that your landlord swears the building is retrofitted. Tectonic plates are not interested in your good vibes. What they are interested in: momentum, pressure, friction, and right now, that pressure is stacking like a Jenga tower in a wind tunnel. Let's go deeper. You've got three major fault lines in this symphony of stress: San Andreas, Calavis, and Hayward. Each with their own history, personality, and deadly potential. They're not just cracks in the ground, they're ancient rifts in the Earth's crust that hold enough energy to flatten cities. The San Andreas is the star of the show. Big name, big presence, big consequences. Everyone knows about it. It's like the Beyoncé of faults. If San Andreas ruptures near the bay, we're looking at a worst-case scenario baked into every emergency planner's nightmares. But what people don't talk about enough: the Hayward fault. Now that's the real sleeper hit. Seismologists call Hayward the creeping fault because it moves slowly over time, without big, obvious quakes. Sounds nice, right? Harmless. Actually, it's worse. That creeping movement builds this illusion of calm while quietly accumulating energy underground. Experts have literally called it the most dangerous fault in America because of how densely populated it is along its path. It cuts right through Oakland, Berkeley, Fremont, places where millions live, work, and scroll through life without realizing that they're sitting on top of a live wire. And guess what? It hasn't had a major rupture in over 150 years. You know what that means in earthquake terms. She's about ready to pop off. Then there's Calavis, the overachiever of the current quake swarm. It's not as famous, but lately, it's been extra, throwing tremors left and right, dropping 3.0 seconds and 3.8 seconds like it's hosting a pop-up aftershock market. These quakes aren't strong enough to level cities, but they are enough to shift stress onto other faults, which is what has seismologists on edge. Because in this world, faults don't operate in silos. They play tag with energy. One lets go, and another tightens. And if the tension transfers just right or just wrong, then things spiral fast. Picture a row of dominoes. Now imagine each domino is a fault line. Now imagine someone flicking the first one, and you don't know how far they'll fall. That's the risk of cascading ruptures. Not just one fault letting loose, but a rapid, rolling quake that moves across multiple fault lines like a ripple of destruction. It's rare, it's wild, but it's not impossible. And when scientists ran their models and punched in current data from these swarms, let's just say the results weren't cute. One of the most terrifying concepts in these new models is the super shear rupture we mentioned earlier. That's the big boss. If your average quake is like a speeding car, a super shear is like a bullet train going off the rails. The rupture literally outruns its own shockwaves, leading to an amplified shaking effect. Engineers never even designed for that possibility when most of the bay's infrastructure was built. It just wasn't part of the blueprint. In other words, we're structurally unprepared. We love to think of the Bay as this gleaming tech utopia. You've got billion-dollar startups and self-driving cars and office buildings with eco-friendly elevators. But underneath all that sleek branding, there are roads, bridges, water lines, and power grids built decades ago before we even knew what super shear ruptures were. A quake of that magnitude could cause more than physical destruction. It could break the system, communications down, hospitals overwhelmed, fires breaking out where water mains are snapped. And in some places, entire neighborhoods might be cut off, stranded in chaos with no help for hours, maybe days. Now, to their credit, emergency agencies are updating protocols. Evacuation maps are being reprinted. Drills are being encouraged. There are even systems now like Shake Alert that can give you a few seconds of warning before the worst shaking hits. But let's be honest, a few seconds isn't a cushion, it's a gasp. It's just enough time to hit the ground, find cover, and pray your ceiling isn't part of the problem. And if you're hoping that artificial intelligence or billion-dollar apps will somehow save us from seismic reality, think again. Earthquakes can't be predicted with the precision people want. They're messy. They're ancient. They don't care about your predictive algorithm. The best science can do right now is say, this area is under a lot of stress. The patterns are familiar. The energy is building. Stay ready. Which is exactly what we're hearing now. So where does that leave us, emotionally, existentially? Well, somewhere between low-key panic and cautious optimism. Because yes, it's terrifying, but it's also a wake-up call. This isn't just a San Francisco problem. This is a California problem, a West Coast problem. Anywhere with fault lines and fragile infrastructure, you're part of the story, too. But the Bay Area in particular, it's a symbol. A place that's risen from the ashes before. It rebuilt after 1906. It recovered after 1989, and it'll probably survive the next one, too. But survival comes at a cost, and ignoring the risks until it's too late, that cost multiplies. So maybe we don't wait until the next siren. Maybe we check our emergency kits, strap our bookshelves, have that slightly awkward but necessary conversation with our roommates about where do we meet if everything goes dark. Because when the shaking starts, you don't rise to the level of your optimism. You fall to the level of your preparedness. And on a final note, if you're the type to roll your eyes at all this and say, whatever, it'll probably blow over, just remember, everyone says that. Until it doesn't. Everyone's chill until the floor starts moving. So ask yourself, are you ready? No, really, are you? Because San Francisco's not just a city right now. It's a ticking fault zone wrapped in skyline and ambition. And it's sending signals loud and clear. Something is shifting. The tension is building. And the big one might not be a bedtime story for much longer. So comment below, have you felt the quakes lately? Are you getting alerts? Are you stocked up? Or are you still in a won't happen to me mode? Let's talk about it. And don't forget to subscribe, because whether it's celebrity meltdowns or seismic ones, we cover all the drama shaking the world. Stay safe, stay grounded, and maybe sleep with your flashlight charged tonight. Because here's the thing, they say you never forget your first earthquake. That moment when the walls flex, the windows buzz like they're alive, and the air gets weirdly still even as everything's shaking. It's disorienting. Your brain short circuits for a second, like, wait, is this really happening? And then it clicks, oh, this isn't a truck passing by. This is the earth, moving, under you. Now imagine that, but it doesn't stop after a few seconds. Imagine that, and it escalates. And suddenly, it's not just a book falling off a shelf. It's your ceiling cracking. Your phone's not loading. You're trying to call your mom, and the signal's gone. You look out the window and you can see the ground moving like a wave. That's what experts are trying to warn us about. Not the fun-sized shakers that make you tweet earthquake and move on with your day. Not the ones that give your chandelier a little dramatic wobble. We're talking about the kind that rewrites a city, that redraws the map, the kind where time gets divided into before and after. And the worst part, there's no theme music, no slow build. One moment you're in a Zoom call. The next, you're in the middle of a real-life disaster movie minus the A-list cast and with a much worse script. The reality is, we've gotten way too good at living on borrowed time. The Bay Area has grown up around these faults like a house of cards built on a trampoline. We know it. We joke about it. But we don't really believe it's going to happen to us. Not today. Not while we're still paying rent and trying to find parking. But the ground doesn't care about timing. And let's just be honest, how many of us are actually prepared? Like, really prepared. Got a flashlight by the bed. Great. Water for 3 days. Maybe? Gas shut-off wrench, eh? A plan for your pet if you're separated during an evacuation. Didn't think so? It's not about paranoia, it's about realism. Because if the worst happens, you don't want to be standing in a dark hallway wondering what you're supposed to do next while Twitter loads the blue fail whale. Here's the silver lining, though. The Bay Area isn't totally asleep at the wheel. There are scientists, engineers, emergency planners, people whose literal job is to think about the worst-case scenario and how to survive it. But they need the public to care, to listen, to not treat every earthquake warning like spam. Thanks so much for watching. If you made it all the way to the end, you're officially part of the small percentage of people who don't just click away, and that means a lot. Before you go, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me your thoughts, your ideas, or even what you'd like to see next. I read every single one of them, and your feedback genuinely shapes the direction of this channel. If you enjoyed the video, tap that like button. It tells YouTube this content is worth sharing. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next upload. We've got more exciting videos coming, and trust me, you'll want to be here for them. This channel is just getting started, and your support helps it grow faster than you realize. Thank you again for spending a part of your day here with me. Stay curious, stay motivated, and as always, take care of yourself. Until next time, I'll see you in the next video.